All right, Jeepers. Today we are trying to work on a problem that I've been having where when the Jeep gets warmed up to normal operating temperature, I start getting this really loud buzzing noise coming from under the hood. And I'm going to try to figure out what the cause is of it. I suspect that it might be a pulley, because when I turn the AC on, it does kind of go away, and then it comes back when I turn the AC off. It also seems to go away when I step on the gas. So that could be that the pulleys are under a certain amount of load when you're stepping on the gas, or when the AC is on and it's keeping the bearings from rattling. But we'll figure out what it is. I'm not sure if you can exactly hear it yet. It loses power once the engine warms up to normal operating temperature. And you can start hearing this really loud whining noise, almost like an electric fan spinning off really fast. I'm leaving the hood shut first to try to get as much of the sound as possible on film before I open up the hood, and basically the wind is going to go crazy from the fan hitting the microphone. I think you can hear it pretty good up here. I thought it was a pulley going bad, and it kind of quieted up a little bit when I turned the air conditioner on. Right now the AC is off, so we're going to go ahead and pop the hood now. You can start to hear it a little louder. I don't know if you see my fingers on the camera or not, but I'm trying to block the microphone from the air and wind. You hear that? Now, like I said, once I start hearing this noise, I get a lack of power in the throttle. And the throttle also starts to climb to about 1,000. Like I said, first I thought it was a pulley. As I opened the hood and got a little closer in here, I saw what it was. That vacuum hose right there for the rear PCV, or vent hose, is collapsing on itself. So I guess somebody replaced these hoses with cheap Amazon parts, and that hose is collapsing on itself. Look at this. Noise is gone. And that thing is completely collapsing on itself. the weird stuff that happens to Jeep Wranglers, that it boggles my mind. You know, putting one cheap part from Amazon on these vehicles can cause such an issue. Call that the PCV fart. Alright, so that needs to be fixed. We're going to remove it. We're going to try to... You can see it's ballooned out too. Like, that spot right there is really weak. This spot right here is pretty thick. Over here is pretty thick. And I guess it's from the heat of sitting right over top of that one spot that doesn't have a heat shield, where the exhaust comes right up to a little port right there. And it's right over top of where this PCV is. So I guess over time it weakens that. Barely takes anything to close it. Alright, so we're going to figure out some way to keep this thing from closing up while we look for an original part, or some kind of fix Maybe I can find a piece of fuel line to go on there and some type of reducer to reduce the fuel line down to this size. Had to be a permanent fix, but for temporary, we're gonna find something to see if we can't put it inside of here where this ballooning's going on and keep that from happening just while we try to figure something else out. I think that we found our temporary fix. All right, I knew that bar is in the way there. Spin the camera around this way. So as you can see, the area right here is ballooned up. It's basically collapsing on itself because it's really light in that area where the exhaust has been just pummeling it over the years. And I guess somebody replaced this one of the cheap Amazon parts off of Amazon. You know, they don't last very long. They might work if you're in a bind. Eventually, they just don't last like the original OE parts do. So I have another one of these in order from Mopar Parts, and it's really weird because they have this whole setup that has this rubber piece that goes on the inside of that one, and then the tube, this piece on Amazon, and they have it on Mopar Parts as well for original parts. And the funny thing is it only goes up to 04. They don't list one for an 05, 06. So either something has changed to where that rear PCV is a different size on the 05, 06, and no one's making parts for it, or they just forgot to include the 05, 06 in the parts list number. So we've ordered it. We're going to find out when that comes in. I'll make another video when it does, on whether or not the new tube assembly will fit onto that crankcase ventilation elbow over there. Now, if it isn't available for 05, 06, and it doesn't, the one that for the 04 and older does not fit, I'll have to rig something up, or maybe I can change the valve cover out with the older one and then just use the older PCVs or elbows that came for that cover that year, 04 and older. Like I said, I don't know if there's a difference or not. If there is, I can either, like I said, switch out that valve cover, or I can find some way to reduce this plastic piece down to, or up to that plastic piece. I guess I'd be reducing the larger one over there to this one. I think you could do that with fuel line and barb connectors. So I'm going to try this little quick fix first, and wait till you see what I figured out here. This is kind of fun. So we got our flimsy fitting here, garbage. The heat just destroyed it. So to keep this from collapsing, I had this problem once before. Cut a piece of a funnel, a plastic funnel, and since this side's bigger and that side's smaller, it basically wedged in there, cut the end of a funnel off and stuck it in there. And I don't know what happened, but it's not in there anymore. There's no possible way that it sucked down through this tube and into the intake. There's no possible way. So when I pulled it off another time, it must have fell out, or the heat and constant oil maybe coming through there maybe disintegrated it, melted it. I don't know. Either way, if it did, it's either stuck inside that intake somewhere, or it has already burned out of the combustion chamber of the engine. One or the other. So how am I going to fix this? Well, I don't want to try using plastic again, because I'm guessing there's certain types of plastic that just can't hold up to that kind of heat right there. So I got to thinking, well, I probably could use something metal. So what to go in there? It could be hollow and metal and withstand the heat. So then I came up with the idea of using a socket. Now I have a lot of old sockets from sets that are not complete anymore, and this isn't going to be a permanent fix, so I will be getting this socket back. For anyone out there that's saying, you know, that's kind of stupid to waste a socket for something like that. It's the internet. People are going to say all kinds of stuff. So anyways, I found that what I can do is the hole in the socket is round in the back, but of course you got your I think 1/4 inch here on the back side for the square, but that round hole right there is no smaller than the hole in here. So I'm not really losing any suction to the crankcase by reducing, you know, reducing it down with this piece of metal, this socket. So the hole is the exact same size as the hole in that piece there. So let's see if this is going to work. So we're going to take this guy here, and we're going to put the bigger end this way. So we're just going to push it in. It is a little bit of a tight fit here in the first part of it. And we're just going to squeeze until it's up on there. All right, this is starting to be where it's in the flimsy area right there. So you can see this will not collapse now. That's one less mosquito in the world there. But anyways, so you can see the socket is now down inside of there. And all we have to do is just basically push this back on here. Get it all the way up on there. This part's starting to get a little flimsy, but it's not quite there yet. And then we're just going to reach over and push it back onto, actually I can just take this PVC right out. We're just going to push it right back onto the PVC, or elbow, whatever you want to call it. And then we're just going to push it right back in there. Sorry, I'm trying to get rid of these skeeters. All right, so there we go. It is on there. Now, does it work? Well, let's go find out. As you can see, I fixed the cluster lens already. All right, she's solid. So like I said, it's not a permanent fix. More than likely this rubber is going to get hot and expand again eventually. But as for now, it's working while I wait for parts. So there you go. These are the little things that happen to Wranglers that won't stop you from getting where you need to go. But like I said, it did cause a lack of power in the engine. It was kind of annoying, that noise that it was making. Next thing on the to-do list is this little steering shaft support bearing down here. As you can see, it's worn out. So we ordered one from, I forget the company's name, I'll link it below, and the link to the product. It's a metal one instead of that one. You can see it's plastic inside of that metal collar right there. So we've ordered a metal one that's going to replace that one. I believe it just recently became available on the market, because I've searched for metal ones or replacements before, and you used to always have to buy the lower steering shaft to get that. So we're going to get that replaced probably tomorrow or the day after. As you can tell, no more whistling or buzzing, whatever the hell that noise was it was making. She's running smooth again. Well, thank you for watching me on another short video, and I hope this gets out there to kind of show you guys that not every issue with a Wrangler is a major concern and won't cause the Wrangler to stop running. These things are pretty much bulletproof, and they'll run through a lot of problems. You can have a lot of issues with it and still keep running. I mean, that's why people like them so much. So whereas on the newer ones, you know, one sensor fails and you're out of commission until you replace that sensor. Well, that wraps it up for this video on solving the Jeep Wrangler PCV fart. Thank you for watching.